Hi everyone, I'm back. So I was just recording the update for my 24-hour check-in after my third exosome infusion, and I decided to you're gonna notice it's cut off because the story I was telling at the end, I've decided to save it for this video, for its own video. And there's a reason for that because I started to think this might be useful information for those of you that are considering um, very, very expensive treatments, especially here in the US. There are some doctors that do these treatments here in the US. Um, but, there's a lot of legal stuff, there's a lot of FDA stuff, um, a lot of controversy surrounding some of these treatments. And, I think it's a good idea to be prepared when you're going into this, when you're planning on paying for something like this, because it's not cheap. And it can be a really iffy situation. So the story that I was telling, one thing that happened with this situation, I did pay for my treatment back in November. It is January 2022 right now. I just want to make sure that my lighting is okay. Hopefully you guys can see me. It is January 2022 right now. And that's when my infusions had been scheduled for. So I paid for it early November. I paid for it in full, which was probably the first mistake. But at that point, I had already been discussing this with my doctor for several months. And, I was kind of getting the runaround. And finally, it was like, okay, this is how much it's going to cost. It needs to be paid in full, so on and so forth. And I said, fine, I'll do it. I was already prepared. I already had the money set aside. It was a lot of money, more than I even want to talk about right now. At some point, I will I will let you guys know how much I paid for it, but it is almost embarrassing, because again, there are no guarantees with this treatment. What ended up happening is that I paid for it early November. We scheduled it. I was given the dates, and I think that was the last time I had seen them. And then I didn't have any appointments with the doctor until January. Um, so everything was scheduled, but there was just such a weird, bizarre vibe around everything. And on top of everything else, I ended up getting the flu at the end of December. I tested negative for COVID, but either way, when you're chronically ill, a virus is a virus. There are going to be, consequences. And I was currently still on my IVIG, but I knew I had to stop. Prior to exosomes, you need to stop IVIG at least 2 weeks before. And so I knew this, but being that I had had the flu and I still hadn't completely cleared all of my symptoms, I decided to contact the doctor's office and say, look, I got the flu. I'm going to do one more infusion and then I will stop my medication. I heard nothing from the office. And I basically just sent them that email, heard absolutely nothing. And I had been having issues with getting responses to my emails. Finally, the 2 weeks passed, and it was the week of my infusion. And I call the office, and they're just like, oh, let me check with the doctor, let me check this, let me check that. And I started getting, again, that same weird vibe that it was like, this is already paid for, it had already been scheduled, I had sent an email, and I'm literally getting no response. So the entire day goes by, and I call back before they close. They're only open like 2 days a week on top of everything else. So I have 2 days a week that I can call, and that's it. And then I have to wait the entire 4 days before I can contact them again. I call her back in the afternoon and still getting the runaround. Let me check with her. She's with a patient, blah, blah, blah. And just this constant runaround. So I started getting this weird vibe, like I'm getting ripped off. I had already I had been in a Facebook group for, for exosomes, where a lot of the patients had told me you're getting ripped off, because they believed that the cost was way too high. And so I just started getting the vibe that yes, I am getting very ripped off. And I wasn't they weren't giving me a start date for the infusions. So, you know, it just, I kept getting the runaround. It was like, oh, tomorrow, maybe you could come in tomorrow, maybe you could come in next week. And then finally, she said something like, we don't have your blood work. So the doctor has to wait for your blood work to come in. And right away, I got this feeling like I did my blood work weeks ago, like 3 weeks ago. And I got off the phone. I called, the blood work place. They had sent the blood work to the doctor's office like 2 days after I had done it, so they had it. And so I got this vibe that they were just beating around the bush. Now I understand. I very much understand these doctors and the risks that they are taking performing these infusions. And that goes for doctors in the US and doctors in Mexico, because I did have consults in Mexico, and exosomes are not widely used there either. Um, so I understand the concern that some doctors have. I made it very clear that I told my doctor, or the doctor that was going to perform these infusions, I made it very clear, if this is not something that you're comfortable with, don't do it. I can always go somewhere else. I can go to Mexico. I can go to another doctor. There are actually several doctors here in California that perform exosome infusions. And I was told no repeatedly. I was told no, don't go get stem cells. I was told no, don't go to another doctor for anything, for exosomes, for stem cells, for anything. I was repeatedly told no, and I was told that whatever product that my doctor was going to use was the product that, was the best product. It was this, that, and the other. So I understand the hesitation. I understand the fear that a lot of these doctors have, because they are up against the FDA. The FDA heavily regulates these products, and I get it. But when a patient pays for something, especially the amount of money that I paid and that a lot of us are dishing out for these treatments, the very least they can say is, or they can pick up a phone if they don't want email correspondence, and say, look, this is what's going on. Um, Once the blood test place had told me they have your blood work, we'll send it to them again. I said, send me a copy. I'm going to also send it to them. This way they have absolutely no excuse. Um, I sent them everything in an email. The blood work place sent them another copy. And I said, now you have multiple copies of my blood work. If I do not hear back from you, I'm going to involve a third party. So as soon as I sent that email, I contacted an attorney. This is not something that I want to do, and I didn't threaten them. I didn't say you're gonna get sued. I just said, look, that's fine if you if you guys don't want to do this, but I want my money back. And I was almost certain that the doctor was gonna say, you know what, here's your money. You know, go somewhere else, because I understand the apprehension. I would not have blamed the doctor one bit if they did not want to perform this procedure or whatever. I understand. And I'm never going to force a doctor to do something that they're not comfortable with, or that could put their license in jeopardy. I'm just not going to do that. The problem was that I wasn't getting any answer. I sent the email before they closed. I never received a response. And, so I sent another email after that saying, if I don't hear back from you, I'm involving a third party. This is absolutely absurd. And finally, Monday morning, that was Wednesday. And I think I sent another email Friday, but they're closed. finally Monday morning, I get a phone call right away, and she's just like, yes, we got the blood work. We're gonna, the doctor's gonna review it, and then we'll schedule. Maybe we can schedule for tomorrow. Maybe we can schedule for Wednesday. And again, that runaround. And so my anxiety for the last several months has been sky high. I have talked about it in some of my other videos. I have just been losing my mind. I was literally on the verge of my sanity. And I did talk about that. There might be, I don't know if the video has already posted or it will post. I have a video talking about just mentally where I'm at. And I'm actually reliving it right now. Like the anxiety is coming back almost as if I hadn't done these treatments. But now that I have completed the 3 initial exosomes treatments, I feel like I can talk about this more freely. And also just let you guys know that you do have rights, especially here in the United States. This was one of the reasons why I decided to go with the exosomes here in the US, even though it is kind of an iffy situation. Because in Mexico, you can pay for stem cells, pay for whatever, and if something goes wrong or if you lose that money, you don't really know how to navigate the legal system there. Over here, I did a consult. I literally paid $25 to do a consult with an attorney, and he told me exactly what I needed to do. He said if they don't give you your money back, you have to he gave me the breakdown of the steps I needed to do, and he was like, I don't think you should have a problem. He says, I think you can just ask and they will give you your money back. Because he was aware of the legal ramifications for the doctor if they didn't perform this. And I honestly expected that I would get all of my money back, and they would just tell me to go somewhere else. And fortunately, or I guess it was good one way, fortunately, they did, they called me Monday morning, and then Monday afternoon they called me back and said, we can start Wednesday and get this done. And so I was until Wednesday came around, I was still very stressed. And until I had that first infusion in my veins, I was still very stressed about the whole situation. But I wanted to talk about this, and I may actually do one more other video talking about legal matters and what you can do when it comes to these types of things, because it was a learning experience for me. I mean, I'm glad that we got it done and that I didn't have to go somewhere else to do it. It would have prolonged my stress because also, as I mentioned earlier, I'm off of my other medication. We are still in the midst of, a pandemic. We are going through the Omicron spike right now, and it's not safe for me to be off of my medication. So yeah, it's a real situation. I'm glad that we resolved it. When I went to get the infusions done, there was no animosity. Everybody was very cordial and very nice. I unfortunately don't have that money anymore, but this was something that I paid for. I received it. Whether it works or not, whether I benefit from it or not, that is up to that's my own problem. And that's the other thing that that you have to keep into consideration. You're going to be spending a lot of money, and I mentioned this in some of my other stem cell videos. You're going to be spending a lot of money, but as long as you receive the treatment, then if it doesn't work, that becomes your problem because you received the service, you received the treatment. There's no guarantees with these treatments, and I am fully aware of that. If I am in no better shape 2 months down the line, that's my problem. But I received what I paid for. It's when you don't receive what you pay for, and when you're constantly getting the runaround. I mean, I expected almost, you expect to be treated like royalty given the amount of money that you pay for these things. You do expect to have different kind of treatment and better communication. But I do understand. I understand the controversy. I understand the issues. surrounding these treatments here in the United States, and I was very patient and I was not nasty or rude. And I think that's another thing to take into consideration. But I did make it very clear that I did not want to involve a third party, but if I had to, I would. And that was finally when things started moving along. So I may do I may do a part two of this, because just to inform you of what your options are if a doctor or any place is not providing some kind of a service. um because it was just, I mean, it was just such a stressful situation. It was very upsetting. But I'm just glad that it's done and over with, and I feel like I can freely speak about it now. Before this, I didn't want to talk about it because I wasn't sure if I was going to receive the treatment or if I was going to get my money back, in which case, I wasn't going to go into this. But yeah, I may do that. If you guys are interested, let me know down in the comments. Um, because I know a lot of us in the chronic illness community, we get swindled left and right. We are easy targets for a lot of these alternative medicine practitioners. Um, so yeah, I think that might be good to just inform you guys of your options and what's available to you out there. So I hope this video is helpful, and I'll try to keep doing videos as long as I feel okay. I will try to do them. There are going to be tons of videos going up in the next few months because I did um, pre-record many of them in anticipation of this. I was not sure if I was going to be able to make more videos after the infusions, but so far so good. So let me know down in the comments if there's anything else that you want to know, and I will see you soon. Take care.